Well. The Denver Broncos saw day one of NFL free agency and said, let's make some splashes. Well, did they jump into the shallow end head first or cannonball into the deep end?
I say they cannonballed into the great white.
Ooh.
Based on a lot of their signings. This team got very white yesterday.
Sean Payton, how do I make this team whiter?
He's truly building the team in his image.
Welcome to That's Good Broncos podcast. I'm Brandon Perna, joined by Will Keys. We're going to break down what the Broncos did, why we love it, why we are okay with it, why it's the greatest, why it's the best, why they're going to win the Super Bowl. We're going to address all of the reasons they're going to kick ass this next year. Before we do, don't forget to check out my coffee company, benchwarmerbrew.com.
Other side.
It's in the corner there somewhere.
I thought the bag's to the other side.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe next time, flip the banner or put the bags on. Well, I don't know where you put the bag.
You know what I can do?
Don't let me tell you how to do your job.
Boom, look at that.
Wow.
Now I'm right above it. Benchwarmerbrew.com. Coffee's not cheap. But if you want the cheapest version of my coffee, craft roasted beans, like we get high quality shit, sign up for the subscription service. My backup blend, we got the Losers blend, we got Cole's blend, Fives blend, Trees blend. Lots of really good coffee. Great way to support this channel. Great way to support me and subsequently Will.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Drink up.
All right. Broncos, they were way more active than I thought they were going to be day one. And I know you are kind of the guy who likes the team to maybe make one day one signing and kind of wait around for like the real value and contributors, days 3, 4, 5, the following week, because that's where you get the better deals. But Denver did the opposite of that, and they came out swinging, addressed the line, brought back Alex Singleton, let Dre'mont Jones go, brought in Zach Allen. What your overall feeling?
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
I have a few thoughts, obviously. First, this team is going to run the ball a lot. I think they proved that because their first signing of the day of the free agency, tampering period was Ben Powers, the guard from Baltimore. They got him 4 years, $52 million, groovy baby. Just a huge dude. Obviously, he comes from Baltimore, so a lot of experience just running the hell out of the ball. And then, the biggest move.
He's 6'4", 337. So that is a beefy dude.
It's a big cat.
Yeah.
It's a big cat. Apparently, I'm not a tape guy or really anything to that effect, but I hear he can pull pretty well. The DNVR guys said that he struggles getting to the second level. But at this point, I'm content just with the first level. Honestly, yeah. I feel like we struggle with the first level. Let's cross that bridge when we come to it.
Yeah. Let's get past the line of scrimmage.
And then Mike McGlinchey from San Francisco, It sounded like he was going to be a Chicago Bear. And then Denver swoops him up out of nowhere. 5 years, $87.5 million, 50 of that guaranteed. It goes without saying that he's a run blocker too. He comes from San Francisco. The drawback we've been hearing is penalties.
I did a little research on that. It's such a bullshit knock on him. It is such a cop out. He had 10 penalties last year, 8 accepted penalties.
Okay.
Not even like in the top 5 or 4. Like there's somebody at like 13, 12, 11. Like It's fine. I'm not worried about it. The full seasons before, it was like 6 penalties, 4 penalties. I don't remember the 49ers losing any games because Mike McGlinchey was getting
Right.
penalized so much.
Yeah,
we lived through 2 of the worst penalized years for tackles back to back with Garrett Bowles.
Yeah.
Whatever. Maybe I'm just desensitized to linemen getting penalized, but like, I think it's just a cop out. I think it's bullshit. I think there are a lot of people pretending like they know what a good right tackle is, and they don't have a fucking clue. I'm so sick of people on Twitter, Will, during Broncos free agency. Like, we've had enough, okay? All year, our team was bad. And we took it on the chin. And we said, yeah, we agree. We're bad. We're bad. We're bad. We're bad. We're bad. We're there. We fucking said it, okay? They make some moves to improve their line. And all I see is just a bunch of trash talk. Like, you paid a couple million more dollars for a guy to play a premium position that you haven't had a starter at for 10 years. Yeah. Guess what? Mike McGlinchey could be the 20th best right tackle for the next 5 years.
And it'd be okay.
And I'll be happy. Yeah. I'll be damn happy, Will.
Yeah. No, here's the reality, too, is like any tackle that hits the market is not going to be perfect.
No.
He gets people were trashing him because of the penalties, because it makes it easier, I guess, when Trent Williams is on the other side. I don't really understand how that's easier.
Yeah, I thought that too. Like, when you're playing opposite Trent Williams, you're gonna look like a scrub.
Yeah. He struggled with Micah Parsons. According to Twitter, he is the only tackle to struggle blocking Micah Parsons. Also, it's a good thing that, now he moves from San Francisco, where he potentially gets to play him twice a year, to Denver, where he plays Micah Parsons once every 4 years.
4 years? Yeah.
I think we'll have a new president by the time we have to play Micah Parsons.
Yeah. I think McGlinchey's a victim of social media screenshots. I feel like what must have happened is he had 1 or 2 games last year where maybe he had a couple penalties that stood out, and that's all people remembered. And then there's the screenshot of him being horizontal when Micah Parsons is rushing him.
It's like, it's so stupid. I mean, he's not Trent Williams. No one is. But it's like posting a screenshot of a cornerback getting burnt. Like, every corner gets burnt. Yeah. Patrick Surtain got burnt this year, and he's one of the 2 best corners in the NFL. Yeah. Like, it just happens. It's the nature of the position. You're going to get beat. You want to win more times than not. And yeah, I like that they identified, like, here's what we want. Here's the identity that we want to have. We want to get bigger. We want to get better up front. And hell, let's spend our money there. We're going to be, we're going to block for Russell Wilson. We're going to run the hell out of the ball so we don't have to block for him as much. And there you go. I mean, they still, we'll see what they do at center. Right now, looking at it, you got Bowles, you got Miners, you got Powers, and you got McGlinchey. Yeah, that's pretty good.
That feels a lot better than where they were at last year. All I care about, too, is I just want Mike McGlinchey to be average and healthy. If he can just not get hurt, that's all I ask at the tackle.
Being average is being good.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like,
on the offensive line.
When you're talking about offensive lines in the NFL, I think I would say there's probably like 26 offensive lines that are all pretty close. Like, they get the job done. Yeah. Then there's always a couple outliers every year where the offensive lines are really bad. Like, truly, it's the line is a problem versus a young quarterback or a quarterback who just holds on to the ball too long, because the quarterback and the line in terms of pressure and sacks are kind of married, right? We know that. And then there's a couple offensive lines every year that are truly just better than everyone. And the Eagles had that last year. The Chiefs' offensive line, don't get me wrong, they are very good too, but they're very good because Patrick Mahomes is very good.
Right. And
Their
they got
Chiefs'
better
better
too.
than the Broncos, but like they play with an elite quarterback who's on just a different plane. The Eagles, though, that was a team that's like without that line,
that's their bread and butter.
yeah. And you saw it in the Super Bowl. Like that game was close because a big part of that because of the line. So the Broncos, while they haven't had like the worst offensive line in the league. Last year, injuries were a problem. Last year, Russell Wilson, he is going to hold on to the ball. He is going to take sacks. That's a problem. They couldn't run the ball effectively, consistently. I think that changes. And if they can just run the ball better, that does everything you want for Russell Wilson. So I agree with you. I like that they have a vision for what they want the line to be. I'm going to trust that Sean Payton and Zach Strife, who have worked together before and put together some pretty dang good lines for the Saints, are on pace to do that for the Broncos.
Yeah, and kind of an extension of the offensive line, they signed Chris Manhertz from Jacksonville, who is I'll explain like how much of a blocking tight end he is. He's played 8 years in the NFL. And he's got 24 receptions. So he's there to block.
He is there.
We got him for cheap. 2 years. 2 years, $6 million. So that's not a problem at all. Pretty standard deal for a blocking tight end who's gonna, he's gonna create some lanes in the running game. You can leave him in if you have a problem at tackle to chip defensive ends. Yep. He also played a season back in 2016, his first year. He was with the Saints. So Sean Payton is familiar with him.
Yeah.
And he brings him back.
So that's 3 moves, I think, all to improve the trench up front, the offensive trench.
Yeah.
I like it. And so Manhertz, Sean Payton comes in, and he's got to believe Manhertz is an upgrade in terms of blocking over Eric Tomlinson, who is currently still a free agent. And
right.
You've got Dulcich and you got Alberto. So you got 2 guys who can catch balls, and now you got a guy who can block.
And you also have, we talked about it, but little Jordan Humphrey, who's kind of the hybrid.
Little J-Hump. Yeah.
Little J-Hump.
J-Hump.
You can get creative with him sort of as a flex tight end too. So that a lot of flexibility at that position. They're going to throw a lot of different looks our way. I hesitate to say like Dulcich is going to be the Jimmy Graham because he's not like a dominant, huge basketball player like Jimmy Graham, who did play basketball, by the way. So did Antonio Gates. But they have so much versatility there that they can get creative.
Yeah.
And they did lose kind of a chess piece, I thought, in Andrew Beck. I would have liked to see how Peyton used them, but the Houston Texans, who are one of the worst teams annually in free agency, signed him and Mike Boone.
Yeah, I saw that.
They throw out weird deals. They go for volume in free agency. I don't know why. They do it early too. They're just dumb.
Remember when they signed like 20 running backs out of free agency?
Yeah, like Rex Burkhead and Royce Freeman and Philip Lindsay and Napoleon Kaufman.
They love signing old Broncos running backs.
Quentin Griffin, Tatum Bell. Yeah, Bobby Humphreys.
Wow.
Yeah, they went on a spending spree, and look where it got them. The second overall pick
when they should have had the first.
Yeah,
they basically helped rebuild the Bears. So great move for the Texans.
Lovie Smith did it again for the Bears.
Yeah. See ya, Houston. Here's for my old team, the Bears. Lovie Smith, now the greatest Bear ever. He just surpassed Ditka.
Yep.
Okay. So offensive line, boring as hell, but a need for the Broncos. And the good news, when you commit to guys on the offensive line, and wait, this maybe if the Broncos had picks in the first and second round of this draft, they don't sign McGlinchey or Powell. And maybe it's just one.
Yeah.
But they're not in a position where I believe they think they can upgrade the line significantly at areas of need through the draft. So
maybe center in the mid rounds.
Yeah. So they go out and they do it via free agency. They've got ownership who's showing that they're willing to pay. They made a lot of cap room right before it started. And I think this is just going to be the way they kind of do free agency. And people get so like worked up about the money, the numbers, like, oh, you overpaid for McGlinchey and Alex Singleton. Don't give a shit. The Broncos have never been in a bad cap spot that I can remember. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Maybe that changes with Sean Payton because the Saints always in a weird spot. But like, I think George Payton will not let that happen. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with them spending money that you think is, they paid $2 or $3 million too much a year for this guy. Like, that doesn't matter. The cap's going to keep going up. They're going to figure it out. So I like that they invested in the line.
I do too.
Then they lose Dre'Mont Jones.
Yes.
This is a move that at first I was like, fudge. I don't like it.
Okay.
And his replacement, Zach Allen, I'm like, I don't really know who this guy is. I know Vance Joseph loved him, and that actually scares me.
No, I would have to agree. That was a little bit worrisome. I think the part of him going to Seattle, Dre'Mont Jones,
that pisses me off. That
pissed me off. They cut Shelby Harris, and they replaced him with Dre'Mont Jones. I really just don't. That it grinds my gears. And only
way they can make this right is if next year they cut Geno Smith and then sign Russell Wilson, the Seahawks.
Who gets Geno Smith?
I don't think he's cut. Whoever he wants.
Okay. I thought you were saying we'd get him, maybe.
Oh, I mean, it depends on how he plays next year. But
yeah, it's true.
Continue. Yeah, that stings. That makes me I know Dre'Mont Jones kind of had some conflicting messages on Twitter, right? Like, he was annoyed by Russ Wilson's "Let's Ride" or whatever, and then he was like, "No, I want to be a Bronco," and kind of didn't know where he stood. We knew he wanted money. He was going to max out what he could get, but at this point, going to the Seahawks, kind of like, fuck that guy.
Yeah, I mean,
no offense, Dre. I wish you well, but kind of like also fuck, dude. That sucks.
Right. I get that part of it. I would have liked to keep him. I think it's just a good thing. It's a good culture to have when you draft a guy, develop him, and keep him and pay him.
Yeah.
He gets paid either way.
You're right. Like, the part that stings is Denver developed him. He got better every year with the Broncos.
Yeah.
It was a good pick. And then they just didn't want to pay him what he could command on the market.
Right. And we don't know like what was going on internally. This feels like it could be like a Sean Payton trying to set a culture kind of move. I don't know Zach Allen. I don't know what kind of guy he is. JJ Watt publicly endorsed him on Twitter. So if JJ Watt likes him, he's a certain kind of guy. Salt of the earth, hard worker, lunch pail, yada, yada, etc. But, you do save a little. Maybe these are kind of just the moves you have to make, I guess, the concessions that you have to live with, where you save a little bit of money moving from Jones to Allen, and that money goes to Powers or McGlinchey or even Jarrett Stidham.
The Stid. That was a weird signing to me.
That was a weird signing as well. How do you feel about moving from Rippon to Stidham?
Well, I think Stidham's better than Rippon, but
more talented, obviously.
Yeah. And like, he played very well in a game the Raiders lost last year.
Yeah.
And then he was like, okay, after that. If he's got to come in for Russ, like I feel good about it that way. But it seems like there's just a lot of interesting options out there for your quote backup quarterback. I don't know. I would have liked Jacoby Brissett more. I would have liked Gardner Minshew more.
Sure.
Even though I think Stidham's probably better than Gardner, if like I'm being honest.
What about I don't know about that. What about Teddy? Who played well with Sean Payton?
Teddy Two Gloves? Yeah. I mean, that's a great pairing with Sean Payton. He played his best football with Sean Payton, sure.
Played
I'd have
here.
taken Teddy back. I never didn't like Teddy. Fuck yeah, I would have taken Teddy. I think Teddy would have cost more. Stidham got what, like $10 million over 2 years?
Yeah, so $5 million guaranteed.
Yeah, that one's a little weird, but I'm also going to trust that Sean Payton knows quarterbacks. So
I would agree. And he's I think he's buddies with Davis Webb too.
That's right. That's the other connection. The big connection was Davis Webb.
Right.
But I wanted to go back to Zach Allen just for one more second because I saw Zach Stevenson post out like Zach Allen's numbers and Dre'Mont Jones' numbers from last season. They were pretty much identical.
And then I don't know if I trust that, but
I mean, those are just the numbers.
They are the numbers. I don't know if that like indicates.
I think they're a little bit different player too, even though they're both on the end there. Like to me, Zach Allen looks like he's built a little bit more like an edge rusher versus like your true big defensive end. But what do I know? But I think like what the idea is for the Broncos in terms of what they see with Zach Allen is somebody who might be better against the run. And that's an area where if you wanted to critique Dre'Mont Jones, like maybe that's where you could find the flaw in his game. But like maybe that's where the upside is. I think ultimately like Dre'Mont Jones has a higher ceiling than Zach Allen. But I think you're going to get, I think you kind of know what you're getting with him from the Broncos coaching standpoint on defense. Like this is a solid dude. Maybe he's never going to be like this dominant force on the end. And it's kind of like what we got to say about right tackle is as long as he's performing pretty well, like what's the difference between a solid defensive end and a very good defensive end? Like production wise, you're talking about maybe a couple sacks per year, a couple more pressures, like grand scheme of things. Is that making or breaking your team? Like, I don't know.
I don't know if I agree with you on that one. I don't know. There, like Sean Payton had his guy for a long time in Cam Jordan, and I think this team is really lacking that presence. And if this unit's going to be like anywhere close to as good as they were a year ago, Baron Browning's going to have to get better, be more consistent, and Nick Bonito is going to have to like show anything.
Right.
And of course, Randy Gregory is going to have to stay healthy, which is perhaps the biggest question mark of them all.
Well, that's what you're banking on, right? Like if you're talking about edge rushers and defensive ends,
I'm banking on that though. I don't know.
Yeah, this is what it is. It's like either your defensive end is really dominant and he commands double teams, he commands extra attention, which makes your edge rusher better, or you have a great edge rusher who draws that attention and your defensive end is really good. And if you're lucky, you get the great pairing where it's a Derek Wolfe and it's a Von Miller, and there's dominance from both guys.
Yeah.
But like, it's not like Zach Allen is a scrub at that position. It's not like they're getting a guy who you're like, oh God, that guy got bulldozed and ran over and couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
We're not gonna that position is the one that's questionable, but like we won't know until the end of next season. It's like, oh God, Dre'Mont Jones was the best defensive end in football in Seattle. What the hell did we do? Or it's like, oh yeah, Dre'Mont Jones had a very good year. Zach Allen was fine. That's probably what I think we'll say at the end of it.
Is that difference worth $6 million to you?
It depends. No, I don't think like Dre'Mont Jones or Zach Allen is costing the Broncos a bunch of games or netting them a bunch of wins.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, this team is – I think there's two ways to win in the NFL on defense, to play well on defense, is you can have a really strong secondary and cover for a second longer than other teams, or you can be really strong up front and force the quarterback to get rid of the ball a second earlier. So I think ideally you want to have both, but that's just not always realistic, or not. Not everybody's the Eagles. I think the Chiefs were kind of an example of a really strong defensive front and a secondary that benefits off of a guy like Chris Jones making life hell on opposing quarterbacks. So you've got, the top two, maybe top one corner in Patrick Surtain. You've got a top, I don't know, doesn't matter, really good safety in Justin Simmons. And so that's your identity. Like, they have their identity on offense and it's up front, and their identity on defense is going to have to be on the back end. And they're equipped to do that. It's a matter too of like whether or not you want to upgrade the other corner position, whether you're comfortable rolling with Damari Mathis, who played well last year.
Damari and K'Wan Williams. Like, I'm comfortable with those two.
I think so. I'd like to see another year out of Damari Mathis. Obviously.
He's on a path.
He's on a path. He won't get 4 DPIs again. He's only gotten better. And there was a little bit of a rumor, I guess, that CJ Gardner-Johnson was following a bunch of Broncos on Twitter.
He is.
Or Instagram or whatever. And I don't think that shit ever matters or leads to anything, but it's fun to think about.
No, I think it does. I think it does lead to it sometimes. He followed the Broncos, then unfollowed them or something as well. But obviously with Gardner Johnson, he played with Sean Payton. So there's that link. Yeah. Also, area of need, because Kareem Jackson's probably not coming back, right? So
probably not, and it's probably the right move.
CJ is kind of this weird sort of safety / nickel corner hybrid. He was great. Philly used him more in that safety spot, and he was very, very good for them there. I don't know how they make the money work at this point, but that would be a signing that excites me if he comes over to fill that hole that Kareem Jackson's gonna leave. I think because that goes to your point in terms of it gives the Broncos the kind of secondary where maybe you can have some flaws up front, but your secondary is playing so well that it affords it.
Yeah. I think they kind of have to rely on that, and anything that if they are able to get something above expectations in the front seven, that's a plus.
Right.
And it's definitely a plus. And things could break out right. Like, things could work out for once in terms of injury luck and guys taking a step forward when you need them to take a step forward. So this defense, like, obviously has a high ceiling again. And then I think Gardner Johnson, like, he intrigues me, A, because he's really good, and B, because I like defenses that have that one
attitude, dude.
Yeah, to borrow from Bill Simmons, like, irrational confidence, except it's not irrational confidence. It's just like a guy who's not afraid to talk shit to Tom Brady in his face. Like, he had that with the 2015 defense. Obviously, that guy was Aqib Talib, and maybe to a lesser extent Derek Wolfe. But it feels like it's like Bill Romanowski too back in the day. Yeah. You obviously don't need to spit in someone's face to accomplish that, but just a guy who's going to get under the offense's skin a little bit And that's like
that.
it's not a film thing. It's not an analytics thing. It's purely I like this. It feels like it gives the defense a little bit of an edge. Like Justin Simmons, quiet guy. Patrick Surtain, quiet guy.
I've heard Simmons is pretty loud on the field, though.
He might be.
Yeah, I've heard he's pretty vocal on the field. But yeah, it's an attitude thing. I think it was a huge part of Talib's game in a very beneficial way, up to the point where, he's fighting with Michael Crabtree.
Yeah, I mean that shit can go wrong when you're not winning. When you're not winning, it's kind of it can be a little bit of a detriment. But
whose face did he nearly rip off in the Super Bowl, like around the goal line, Talib?
Philly Brown.
Yeah, like
he almost tore his
head off. It was a personal foul, but it was at like the 5-yard line.
Yeah, it's like a 2-yard net.
It's like, dang, that guy almost ripped my head off. I'll be thinking about that for the next few plays at the very least.
Yeah. I mean, it's like he's like a Gary Payton type.
Yeah.
Or he's just gonna talk shit to you.
Yeah. I'm kind of just waiting for them to announce that to happen, but who knows? Still feels like a long shot. Still feels like they did most of their work yesterday. I think a guy like CJ Gardner-Johnson, they're only going to sign him if they deal one of their wide receivers that they've been shopping, and that's kind of the other piece that we're waiting for.
Right. Good call.
Apparently they've been listening to offers for Sutton, Judy, and or Hamler. They're only going to trade one of those guys, obviously, if they do make a move. And I think the only way they move on from Jerry Jeudy is if they get some sort of insane compensation.
Yeah, you do. I wouldn't deal him for anything. I wouldn't deal him, first of all. I definitely wouldn't deal him for less than a first-round pick.
No. Yeah, you got to have a first because you got to probably get his replacement somewhere. And Jerry Jeudy just seems like a receiver that Sean Payton would freaking love to work with. So,
yeah. I don't understand shopping Jeudy. I do understand shopping Sutton, I guess. I don't need it to happen. But if you get like a 2nd-round pick back, I guess, and then you have to bank on Tim Patrick coming back healthy, which is tricky. You hope KJ Hamler's healthy. I think depth is important there. But I don't know. Like maybe he likes some of the lesser heralded guys like Young Hung, Brandon Johnson. Like a ton of guys obviously got experience last year, which was that's
beneficial.
The bright side of all of the massive casualties at that position. Yeah.
And Michael Thomas just signed a 1-year contract with the Saints. So
I want to point out too, they restructured him. I want to point out too that we kind of neglected this, but you got Caden Stearns coming back from injury too, and I think we forgot how good he was before getting hurt. He's kind of the forgotten man. So the safety position is not like this massive.
No, they don't have to make a move there. Because there's also Valerian Turner. Yeah.
It'd be nice if they had one of those draft picks make a difference.
Yeah. Stearns. And then also they signed Alex Singleton to a 3-year contract as well. Was it $18 million?
Yeah. Don't tell any of the analytics guys though. They'll freak out. God forbid you pay a linebacker minimum wage.
Yeah. God forbid.
Inside linebacker.
You pay the guy who probably contributed the most to your defense last year.
Yeah, I mean, apparently, if you pay a running back or an inside linebacker, the nerds will go off on you.
Yeah,
they just will.
It was like Singleton maybe had 2 bad games last year. The rest, he was good. And then in some games, he was just flat out maybe the best defensive player for the Broncos on the field.
Right.
I saw a next gen stat about him having some sort of fucking defensive stop rate or stuff rate or something. That was like at 11%. It's like the highest, however they grade that. I don't even know exactly what it means, but it's like the best since 2016. So they found a guy who also played special teams. So this is like this is a dude who did it all. You kind of found a hidden gem, and Eagles fans loved him too. Like every time I would tweet about him, I'd get a bunch of Eagles fans being like, glad to see our guy doing well. He's not like a game-changing,
he's
dominant
not
linebacker.
Like, people think like you have to pay, league minimum to a guy unless he's Fred Warner, in which case, rightfully you pay him a ton of money. But there's only like 2 Fred Warner types, and one of them is Fred Warner, and the other one is probably like Darius Leonard.
Yeah.
Shaq Leonard, I guess he goes by
Leonard,
now.
Darius Leonard, like
there's just so few of those guys that can stuff the run and also drop deep into zone and cover anybody.
And Singleton, they used him in blitz packages as well. Like, I don't know.
This team's going to be so much better next year.
I hope
whether
so.
or not they're like, a 12-win team, they're just going to be so much more competent. Things are going to break right. They're going to have good leadership. They got aggressive in free agency for better or worse. They're taking a swing. I feel like they're correcting a lot of missteps.
Alex Singleton's cap hit this year is $3.3 million.
Who fucking cares? Someone has to play inside linebacker. Might as well have a competent guy there. Yeah. Like you said, not a game changer. But there just aren't that many game changers at that position.
They have an out on his deal after 2024. He has a cap hit of $7 million next year. Like he is the kind of like the definition of a dude who earned his paycheck, and he still took essentially a deal that's pretty friendly.
Yeah.
The Broncos have about 18 million right now in cap space. I don't know how much they have to set aside for rookies. It's
not as much as other
less
teams
than normal. Unless they get a first or second round draft pick, I don't think they're done yet, Will, which is exciting. I don't know who the players are, but I'm all aboard your philosophy at this point, where I kind of would like to see a handful of more under the radar signings versus, one more big splash signing.
You know what I want? You know what? Whether it's a late round draft pick or free agency, I want a fullback.
Do you?
We need a fullback. Yeah, I think so.
All right.
Peyton's traditionally, if you go back to his early first half decade with the Saints, like Keith Evans was his fullback.
Oh,
this offense, I think the way it's shaping up, and maybe I don't know, maybe you can use a tight end there and double up on a roster spot, but it'd just be fun to have a really good fullback. The one that's gonna bash linebackers and catch a few passes too.
Sure. I'm down for that. It's also we didn't talk, the running back position is still kind of up in the air right now because I think they're going to sign Latavius Murray. I really think he'll be back. So you'll have Latavius. We don't know when Javante's going to be healthy. Nope. They got Tyler Beatty still on the roster.
And they'll spend a draft pick on somebody.
Yeah, they'll either draft somebody or because Chase Edmonds gone. Marlon Mack's a free agent. Yep. So we'll see. I think that's a move they could make, but we'll see.
They're not gonna go after Austin Eckler. The Chargers won't trade him to Denver.
No,
if they do trade him at all. Jamal Williams is a free agent, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's gonna get a bag. He's gonna get paid.
Will he though? I mean, he's going to get a good payday, but I don't think teams are going to overpay for forgive me for saying this, a bunch of 1-yard touchdowns. Not that that's like all he did.
1-yard touchdowns, though.
No, that's a good thing to bring to the table.
Especially if you remember Week 1 last year for the Broncos.
Yeah, maybe you have a point. Yeah. Can I throw out some names at you? At running
Dude,
back?
if they sign Jamal Williams, I would go from 6 to midnight. Yes, give me some names.
Okay. I'm just going to read them off of the list. Miles Sanders.
Ooh, I would have been high on him until he kind of just didn't show up in the Super Bowl. But I like Miles Sanders. I think he's a solid back. I can't forgive him. Oh, what? Okay, wait, hold on. Oh, so we got another guy going to help us lose to the Chiefs? Next.
Good point. David Montgomery.
Oh, I like that.
I think he looks so much better away from Chicago.
Yeah, he's a guy who can catch, and I think that's what Sean Payton would be looking for.
Not a super fast guy, but a good tackle breaker.
He's a solid running back.
Devin Singletary, I don't know if he really interests me a ton.
No, no. It'd be hard for any back playing for the Bills. Even if they're really good, you just don't know because that offense doesn't breed running backs. So production there.
Yeah. I'm not going to read everybody, but like there's Deontay Foreman, Kareem Hunt, Damian Harris.
Foreman. I like him.
Just a bruiser.
Yeah. I mean, he's similar to Javonte Williams, but
Javonte might not be there.
Impressed me last season because he was good the season before. He was underrated.
Tennessee, yeah.
And then McCaffrey leaves, and he was just a beast. So
yeah, he had a very quiet 900 yards, 4.5 yards a carry.
Yeah.
Not a receiver, but that's okay.
You just feed him. Feed him the rock behind a big line like that. I like it.
I don't know if Sean Payton's on the same level page as I am here, but I feel like Deuce Vaughn would be an interesting addition late in the draft, or if he's drafted, I don't know. But he's
is that the speedy dude, the tiny speedy dude?
He's the 5'5" running back from Kansas State.
Give me Darren Sproles 2.0.
Yeah, he's very. Sean Payton loved Darren Sproles. Darren Sproles was great on the Saints. He's great everywhere, but he's great on the Saints.
Yeah.
Let's make it happen.
Give it to me. All right. That's enough. That's enough Bronco talking today.
Agreed. We said everything that there is to be said.
Yep. I'm guessing we'll be back later this week because I think the Broncos are going to make a couple more moves. But appreciate you guys listening. Don't forget, benchwarmerbrew.com. Don't forget to subscribe to Will Key's channel, Will Sucks at Games, and Built to Will. And then we'll see you later. Good night.
And John Elway played his entire career. No, I don't have it. I have a John Elway action figure somewhere. Without an ACL.
And good luck.